One thing the Detroit Lions have done over the last few years is build an offensive line. An offensive line that is not only built for now, but it's also built for the future and that has a lot of potential for the future. I mean, just look at it, right? We have Taylor Decker, we locked him up to a long deal. We have Jonah Jackson. He's only a rookie and he's already starting at left guard, and he seems like the solidified starter over there. At center, Frank Ragnow, one of the better centers in the game. He will have to get paid soon. At right guard, you know, it's kind of up in the air right now. Joe Dahl, Dea Bushi. Sometimes it's Big V, who, by the way, is locked up for 5 years if you want to. Maybe at some point we'll see Logan Stenberg take over that role. We haven't even seen that guy yet. And at right tackle, it seems to be Terrell Crosby, but again, Big V can play that position. So you can see the offensive line looks like, okay, this has a potential to be a great foundation for years to come. But what about that defensive line? See, the defensive line, we really were worried about that heading into the season. And it hasn't been very good this season. But the Detroit Lions may be onto something with this defensive line, and it actually could be getting somewhere, at least for this season and potentially for the future. Let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Trenches, right? Trenches. That's all that Matt Patricia talks about is trenches. Well, that's not true. But trenches are a big part of football. We understand that. You have to win the battle of the trenches, right? Can your offensive line beat the defensive line? And can your defensive line beat the offensive line? And the Lions didn't seemingly put a lot of stock into their defensive line heading into this season. And it seemed like that was part of the downfall defensively, is that they really focused elsewhere. And unfortunately, they got hit in the butt with a whole bunch of injuries. And their secondary, you know, had to deal with a lot of problems working through the season. And right now, they're starting to get healthy. You know, they're still working on it, but they're starting to get healthy. But that defensive line, it just wasn't great. And they didn't get a lot of help from the secondary because it was very injured. So we had to throw guys like Okudah out there. We didn't have Coleman for a while. We didn't have Desmond Trufant for a while. He just started to get back into a routine of things, right? Our cornerback group was completely depleted. We played a game, and we had Tony McRae starting, okay, at one point in that football game. And that was a big problem. That was a part of the reason that we lost that game against Chicago. But this defensive line, it came into the year something that a lot of people were worried about for fair reasons. I mean, I was really hoping that the secondary would help out the defensive line if they were healthy. The problem is, like we said, they weren't very healthy. But this defensive line may be on to something. The Detroit Lions may be getting something going on this defensive line. Now, I'm not here to tell you that this defensive line is going to be one of the best in the league, because it's probably not going to be. And it's not right now either. But it seems like there may be something brewing here where potentially we could have a solid defensive line, where maybe our biggest weakness on paper may not be too much of a weakness after all if we can get this thing figured out and we can get healthy. Kind of the problem that was going on with the cornerback group. So what did the Detroit Lions do? Well, recently they went out and traded for Everson Griffin. Right before the trade deadline, the Lions made a move for pass rusher Everson Griffin, someone a lot of people wanted in the offseason. And he comes in, he's hyped up, he gets to play his former team Minnesota. Yeah, let's go get it. And it wasn't a very good debut. It was actually kind of a letdown. It was kind of a letdown as a whole, but it wasn't very loud, and it was kind of like, okay, well, I didn't even know Everson Griffin was on the field. That's kind of what it felt like, right? But then last week against Washington, and no, it's not the best team, but he made his presence felt. And he was the best pass rusher on the field in that game for the Lions. I mean, this guy was getting after it. 5 quarterback hits. No player on our team has had 5 quarterback hits in a game. All right, not one. 5 in a game. And we're thinking to ourselves, dang, why don't we just sign this guy in the offseason? But seriously, better late than never, right? And then on the other side of things, you got a guy by the name of, I don't know if you know, Romeo Okwara, you know, a guy that got cut by New York a while ago. And, you know, 2018, he had a really good season, but 2019, it was just like, man, he couldn't get anything going. Then all of a sudden, this season, he's one of the best pass rushers in the league. No, that's not just me saying that. That's not me drinking Kool-Aid. That's numbers. That's facts. That's tons of different analytics will tell you this is one of the best pass rushers in football. Romeo Okwara. Remember the name. The guy already has 6 sacks and 12 quarterback hits. So basically, you're telling me a guy is on pace for over 10 sacks. A guy that the most in his career had 1 breakout season for 7.5. He's on pace right now to have double-digit sacks. That's solid. You want to hear more information than just, hey, how many sacks does he have? Okay. About his 17% pressure rate. 17%. That's 4th in the NFL. 17%. You want to hear another metric? 24% pass rush win rate. By ESPN, that's 7th out of pass rushers. 7th. 4th and 7th. Okay, that's solid. How about 3rd in Pro Football Focus pass rush production? He is 3rd, according to Pro Football Focus, behind guess who? TJ Watt and Joey Bosa. That's what Romeo's doing right now this season. Okay, this guy has been arguably our most consistent defensive player all year. One place he's took a little bit of a dip is some of that run defense, right? little bit of the run defense dip. He's had about 15% missed tackle percentage, and that's kind of part of it. If you look at his PFF numbers, his run defense has definitely slowed down about 15 points. But his pass rush has taken off. I mean, it has absolutely taken off. And Matt Patricia's talking about it. Like, he works after practice. He puts work in to make it happen. And we're seeing it before our eyes that he's turning into a very good pass rusher that's probably going to get a big payday at some point by somebody, right? So you have those two guys going. But we're missing something here. We're missing that $90 million man, Trey Flowers. Where's Trey Flowers at? Well, he's injured right now. And that stinks. Because if you put these three guys on the defensive line together, I think it could be exciting to watch. I really do. Trey Flowers hasn't had the best season, especially in pass rush. But he's given us a lot on the ground game. And I know it's like, wow, the ground game, exciting, right? Not super exciting, I get it. Okay, you probably can make a very good case that he hasn't lived up to the money he's been paid. However, his run defense has been very good. Not top 10, but very good. There's a reason he has an 83.3 PFF grade, and he doesn't have that many stats in a pass rush. I mean, if you look at his pass rush stats, he has 2 sacks and 7 pressures. Now, he's only played in 7 games. He's only started in 5 games. He does have 7 pressures, so that's not bad. And he does have 2 sacks, which is solid. He has that forced fumble, which was big. But he hasn't been very consistent. But what if you put him with Everson Griffin and Romeo Okwara? And the pressure can't go on Trey Flowers. You have those other guys out there to worry about. You would take Romeo and Everson. You probably would over Trey Flowers in terms of pass rushing. Run defense, Flowers first. But in terms of pass rush, you'd probably take those 2 other guys first. Now, according to CBS, he's expected to be back by week 12, which is Thanksgiving. So I don't know if he'll be back because it'll be a short week. Could be week 12. We'll see how it goes. But I could definitely see it being the week after Thanksgiving. So we could have to wait a little bit before we see these 3 guys together. But that would be pretty awesome because it looks like that could be pretty darn dominant on paper. But obviously, in Matt Patricia's scheme, if you can't stop the run, then it doesn't really matter. You're not going to get these pass rush opportunities. And Trey Flowers talked about earlier in the year, this is why we weren't getting pressure. We couldn't stop the run. And our Lions have improved that run defense. And really, over the last 7 games, the run defense has been much, much better. And that has to do with guys like John Penisini, who's been getting a way bigger role inside, and also guys like Danny Shelton. And it's allowing these pass rush guys to be more of pass rush specialists, where you have these other defensive linemen on early downs, and you got these pass rush specialists in Romeo Okwara and those type of players. Those 2 guys, Danny Shelton and John Penisini, have allowed that. And you're also forgetting about some of the other players, like Julian Okwara, who's been injured for a while now. According to CBS, he's actually expected to return week 11. Don't know if we can really expect that. He's been out for a while, but kind of forgot about that rookie, right? The 3rd round pick. How about Austin Bryant, who's returned 2 games ago? This guy gets back. Now, he doesn't have really any stats to show for it. He does have the block punt. You know, he doesn't really have any pass rush stats. I think he has like 1 pressure, but he's only played 71 defensive snaps. So he's starting to get his role going. Seeing a lot of potential here. And we've talked about it this offseason that obviously they're connected. So as long as our cornerbacks and our secondary continues to improve in coverage and we get healthy in the back end, whether it's man-to-man defense pressing or whether it's zone, like we've seen some improvements, especially on crossing routes, things like that, it's going to actually allow these pass rushers more time, and Matt Patricia won't have to bring that many blitzes because ultimately that's what he wants to do anyways. And then if your defensive line starts to pick it up, then hold up, now we might have something going a little bit here. We might have something to actually look at here. Statistical case that, hey, it's better to have pass coverage and pass rush. We kind of talked about that this offseason. But if this pass coverage can get better and continue to improve like we're hoping it will with some of these young guys, with guys, starting to get comfortable with each other, starting, get to play together more often, play more games, get more reps together, and the communication continues to improve from the linebackers to the corners to the safeties, then all of a sudden the same thing will happen with the defensive line. Like I said, these will start to play together and they're going to play a role together in this defensive line. Matt Patricia is going to be, rubbing his hands saying, ooh, my plan is coming together.
It's lemon-scented. This plan C can't possibly fail.
It's going to come together right in front of y'all. But yeah, we got to make it happen. And not to mention that, hey, Jayshon Cornell's on IR. And this guy will be back next year, right? Now, Jayshon Cornell, we should see him next year. We should see this rookie next year. Who knows how much of an impact he's going to have. You can say, well, he's a 7th round pick. He's not going to do anything. Well, what about John Penisini? This guy's a 6th round pick, and he's out there and he's balling. Defensive line isn't where it needs to be. But, the depth is there. And you got Deshaun Hand. You got Nick Williams, who was injured. You couldn't even tell last game. Guys, this defensive line may be coming around a little bit. If you just think about it on paper, that's a lot of good names. Like Frank Heron, he was balling out. And was that because of Everson Griffin and Romeo Okwara taking pressure off? Again, what if Flowers comes back? What if you had Flowers, Romeo, and Griffin on the field at the same time? That's a lot of opportunities. And you just go through the depth, right? John Penisini, Danny Shelton, Deshaun Hand, Nick Williams. The guy had 6 sacks last season, not putting that up here, but Nick Williams, right? You got Julian Okwara, Austin Bryant returning. You got a lot of names that are, kind of coming around. It's like, oh, this defensive line actually may start to pick it up. And it's not like we need them to be top 5 in the league. I would love that. But as they continue to get better as a group and they continue to get healthy, what looked at as our biggest weakness on paper, maybe it's still our weakness, but not as big of a weakness. Maybe it's not something that teams can just exploit, because if you think about it, that's probably our biggest problem right now in terms of personnel. And if we can get this going, our defense is going to be a lot tougher, because you think our cornerback group is just now getting healthy. They're just getting better. We already watched the film today. The continuity, those guys, the communication that they have is great. Now this defensive line gets healthy and they start to put things together. Ooh, this defense could improve. Not be great, but it could get better. And all of a sudden, overall, this team's going to look a little bit better. So, hey, I'm not saying we're anywhere yet. We got a long way to go. We got to see these guys play together. But the potential just screams at you. I mean, you just see. It's just like, wow, so much potential here. There's so much potential. So why not mention it? Right now, they have to go do it, right? Potential means nothing, but it's there. And as a fan, I look at that and I'm like, okay, I could see where this could go. In the future, you see a lot of young names. You're saying, this guy could take over a big role. This guy could be a big part of the defense. I'm just saying, man, there's something to keep an eye out for here, and I'm excited to see where it goes for the next couple weeks. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Shout out to Romeo Okwara for balling. Thank you for watching, and I'm out. Are you kidding me right now? I had to put my helmet on for this one. Are you kidding? Look at this. Look at all these members. What? Yo, hey, shout out to all the members, man. Look how many All-Pro members there are. Like, literally, it's the whole screen, dog. This is crazy. The patrons, of course, the Hall of Fame members, man. Y'all got the gold color. It's kind of yellow, but it's supposed to be gold. Shout out to all the members, man. If you want to be a part of this, all you got to do is join the channel. But there are perks that come with it. Stay locked in the community tab if you are a member, because that's where a lot of information comes out. I appreciate all of you. What?